Let's go to Dr. Ed Ackerley. Of course, Ackerley Advertising, been working with small businesses, large businesses in Tucson for years, and I think he ran for mayor last year.
I sure did.
Could have been your mayor, folks. Could have been.
I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing that I'm not the mayor. So,
I think a lot of people wish you were the mayor. Now, let me ask you a quick question. Are you for having a forum for neighbors to snitch on neighbors? That's what I want to know.
I am appalled that we would even go down that road.
Ridiculous. Yeah.
Absolutely amazing. I mean, I understand if there is an egregious something going on. I get that, but
right.
seriously, this is not where we need to be. We need to be helping each other and not snitching on each other.
Amen, Ed. Let's do this. Let's get right into it. You asked me what your homework assignment was for today, and I said, come up with a good little guerrilla marketing plan and sales plan for some of our small business owners out there. And how hard was it to do this list?
It was not hard. I have to start out by saying, I really admire you and the station and the idea of the drive-in Easter Sunday services. One of the things that I obviously encourage my clients to do that are of faith is to pray, because this is a tough time for a lot of them, and a lot of them are just holding on. And it's ironic that you would have a drive-in Easter service, because I find myself going to the parking lot of my church, and they do services on Facebook Live, and sitting in the church parking lot, attending church kind of in the vicinity, and it's an interesting experience. It does put you in a different frame of mind, and so it is a powerful thing. So I would say that first to those people that are of faith, that they should be praying. Second thing I would say is the list that I put together is a pretty standard list, and ironically, these same things we talked about back in 2008, 2009, and of course, my father, who was in business for many years, had to tap into some of these things many times in his 75-year career. So it was kind of easy to come up with this list.
What's number one, Ed?
Focus on family values, because when times get tough, people retreat back to their family, their nuclear family, and their extended family. And so in the advertising that you do, it's about an extended family, and people retreat to their village, and they're not experimenting with new things and trying to do things that are new and off the beaten path per se, is they retreat back to what is comfortable for them. And so making it feel like family is really important.
We saw that post 9/11 in the hospitality world, that people weren't trying new properties, but they were going to the ones that they always had a good, comfy feel for. And I think that plays out exactly in the small business world too.
Right. And, having images of people enjoying themselves in extreme sports and doing exotic things and so forth is not really the time or place for us to be doing that. I would also say, with all due respect to the thousands of commercials that I've seen of people saying, in this very difficult time, and, accentuating the virus situation, hey, we get it. We understand, all of us understand that we're under this terrible problem. So it's not necessary per se in local advertising specifically to play that verse of that song about how terrible it is right now. And that's not exactly what we would recommend. As a matter of fact, a couple of the clients that we have on TV right now are just talking about family values and that we've been here and we're here for you now.
No, I think I can agree with that. You know what happens? I think people's political correct tendencies come in, and I feel like if they don't mention that, they're somehow insensitive, which I don't believe they would be. I totally agree with you that just talk about what are you providing in that kind of good atmosphere.
When I teach kids how to do design and advertising, I use I draw up on the board a bicycle, 2 tires, pedals, handlebars, seat, wheels, spokes, all those things. And I ask them, what is this? And they say it's a bicycle. And then I take another pad and I draw just the front end of the bicycle with the tire and the spokes. And I say, well, what is this? And I say, well, it's a bicycle tire. And I says, what does your mind do? Well, your mind fills in the rest. We don't need to see the handlebars, the seat, all the rest of it. You get it that it's a bicycle. And the same thing is true with this. people get it that we're in this situation. They're living it, so they know it, so they understand. So we don't have to keep reminding them about that. They've got it. We need to tell them about what we offer and what we can do for them to help them through this process.
No, it's true, because how many of you, I do it too on the weekends especially, because I literally shut down any news. I don't care. They're not going to tell me anything new, right? Sometimes when I get off of Facebook because there's just going to be nothing but negative crap about this. So I like the idea that the commercial, the guy who's doing it, I haven't mentioned it on our air, as I keep hearing it, it's actually making people laugh. They like it, is, of course, Jack Furrier's stuff.
Right.
You know,
I think those are good. Yeah, I think those are good. And trying to keep some semblance of normalcy, too, is important. I would also say that those people that are trying to benefit off of the tragedy are usually not successful in that regard either. If anybody, I've had clients who said, well, let's start a fund and let's if you buy 50 barrels of this, you're going to get we'll donate 50 cents to a COVID relief fund. That's not really, it's good to do it, but to advertise it that you want people to buy things in order for you to then give part of their money to, I would be very careful with that kind of stuff. It sends the wrong message, and it doesn't harken back to, being genuine about what you're trying to do.
Ed, I'm going to go to break, and we're going to come back, and we're going to continue this COVID-19 marketing advertising boot camp that we're trying to do here. So I appreciate the knowledge today. So thank you for calling in and doing this with me.
Okay.
Hey now, welcome back to the Wake Up Tucson show. Ed Alexander, Christy Simone, and Dr. Ed Ackerley. It's the Good Friday edition. Ed, I did miss one giant miscasted role, and I should be beating myself in the face.
Uh-oh.
My buddy Ryan reminded me of Hayden Christensen as Anakin Skywalker in the Star Wars prequels. Total train wreck. Just wanted to share that with everybody. So, 8:20 in the morning, Dr. Ed Ackerley. We're doing our little bit of our coronavirus boot camp for some of our brothers and sisters in the business world.
Marketing boot camp, yeah.
Ed, what's our next one, sir?
Well, I got a couple left for you, and I think that this next one is really important, and that is focusing on relationships and networking. And one of the problems that people see in issues like this, or even in just general business, is they open up the front door and try and get new people to come in, and they forget about the people that are already there. And so a loyal customer, a loyal client, a person who's been with you for a long time is worth a lot more than trying to get somebody new to come in the door who knows nothing about you and has never tried you before. And especially in this time when people don't want to experiment, then obviously your primary target customer is who you should be focusing on and communicating with them and doing everything you can to reach out to them. They're the ones that built your business, and they're going to be the ones that sustain your business through the tough times. So trying to keep customers loyal and doing that, personal phone calls from ownership and leadership and management to customers, thanking them for their business, spending a couple of minutes every day, sending out thank you notes to people, hard copy, handwritten thank you notes to customers. So granted, if you have 10,000 customers, it would be difficult to do that, but you could send it to 50 customers who are your primary customers who buy a lot from you and do a lot with you. And then throughout the course of this time, be reaching out to those that have made a significant difference in your bottom line. And so we forget to do that sometime, and we try and get new customers to come in, and how can I get more people to come by my place? But what we need to be going back is into our files of the people that have already bought from us, because they already know us, they already trust us, they've already experienced our service and our product, and those are the people that we need to reach out to in these terrible times.
It's interesting to say the files thing. We used to say that in the hotel business, right? You have someone who's like a new sales manager, and they'd come in and they're like, where do I start prospecting? And in those days, we'd had 8 file cabinets worth of client files, and we'd say, right. Go hit the file cabinets. Start there.
I personally, I don't know what people's work habits are during this, especially when you're tied up at home mostly. But when I was running for mayor, I would be in the office between 4 and 5 in the morning and work until 10 or 11 o'clock at night, and I was focused on running, but also teaching and keeping my agency alive. I find myself here in this period of time. I'm not running for mayor. I am teaching on Zoom from my office desk. but that I am still working from 4 or 5 in the morning until 9 or 10 at night, trying to help these businesses stay afloat and stay relevant. And I think that's an important message for all of us, that this is not easy and this is going to be hard and it's difficult work. But in order to save your business or in order to keep your business relevant, you've got to put in the time and the effort. Even when you feel like you want to give up, you got to really put that next foot forward and go for it. And it's really an important message to give to people, is that this is not going to be easy. And we can't wait for the federal government to come through and swoop in with loans and all that. That'll be great if that happens, but we've got to really just use every tool in the toolbox to see if we can keep these companies afloat.
Well, like I said, hopefully we can end this shutdown by the end of the month, and then that's where the rubber meets the road. The businesses have to be ready the moment they're allowed to open. They already have to have the plan ready on what this looks like, because it's just like, oh yeah, we're just going to open up, and then we'll figure it out. Figure it out now during the downtime, because when it does happen, you got to be like totally, not just you got to hit it like super running, hit the ground.
Yeah, that was my third point, and the concept of advertising during a downturn, the immediate response from people is to stop, to pull back on their advertising and to recoil and to say, I'm going to save that money. I'm not going to spend money to tell people about what I'm doing. Research shows that the opposite is actually true. Those companies, and I see some car dealers now, and people might scratch their heads and say, why are these car dealers, promoting so much their 84 months no financing and all that kind of stuff? Is because they've been through this before. They were one of the ones that most suffered in 2008, 2009, and they know that the second the country opens back up, boom, there's going to be a flood of people going to get cars. Even though they're still going to get cars now, there's going to be a flood of people, and out of sight, out of mind, people are going to go to the people who have maintained that visibility during the tough times. And that's true across all categories of companies, service companies, and products. That you can't let up. You can't take your foot off the gas pedal. Matter of fact, you got to slam it to the floor at this point and advertise like crazy. And if you don't know how to do that and don't know what to do, then hire a professional. Talk to Chris. Talk to somebody from Bustos who can help you with an advertising program. Talk to an agency and talk to someone who can help you maneuver through all the options. But don't let up on your advertising.
Ed Alexander.
Talking one Ed A to another Ed A to the audience out there, exactly what you're saying. A little tip, friends. People are still watching TV, still listening to the radio, still reading papers.
They're doing it more than ever.
More than
stuck
ever,
at home.
okay? Nobody's advertising. If you advertise, you stick out like the one, okay? And you just pound it home. Your message has to be right. You just can't be sell, sell, sell. The message it's got to be what people need right now. But you can stick out and you can own the market, and like you could never done before, because there's no noise out there. You can finally get through the clutter. So go to it. Themes
of family, patriotism, traditionalism, longevity have been there for you, will continue to be there for you. You see some people doing that kind of stuff, and that works very well in this day and age. People don't want to be lied to, and they don't want to be oversold, but they do want to know that you're genuinely trying to, and they'll help you stay in business if you tell them that you're around and that you need some help. So it is a good strategy, and I all of our clients, there hasn't been one client that's come to me and said, well, I'm going to stop advertising. We've encouraged them all to keep going as best they can, even if it's just a quarter of the budget that they had in the previous time, because they're just running out of cash. Still advertise, because that's how you're going to come back in the future.
Well, and there's because of the extra inventory that's out there, it's cheaper than ever it's cheaper now than it was 30 days ago to advertise in Tucson, Arizona.
Yeah, and one of the interesting things that's happened is because of the way the Democratic presidential thing is working out, and even these local races and so forth, not a lot of political candidates are using the airwaves to tout their campaigns for a variety of reasons, obviously. So that has opened up a ton of inventory for local advertisers to get at. And so you can really get a great deal right now, and it's a perfect time. And as Ed said, people are sitting home with the TV on. It might be background noise, but it's on 8, 10, 12, 16 hours a day. And now is the time to use that to your benefit.
I keep saying are we going to do your third section that's in your in what you texted me? I want to do that if you want to.
The bottom, yeah, I would do that.
All right, we'll do that. We'll do that definitely next segment. Ed has a part about what would Ed Ackerley do in local leadership? What would that look like in his world? But I do want to say I quote something from Gordon Ramsay all the time on his Kitchen Nightmares. He always says about serving your neighborhood, right? If you're a restaurant and you become that go-to place for that geographic area. But now in the day of technology, right, your neighborhoods are different things, and this is this kind of market of these people that know you and you've built those relationships. You have got to hammer that really hard right now. And when the market when your business opens again, those people, he's right, that's key.
Yeah, about 3 miles radius, 3 to 5 miles radius. Most people make most of their purchases within those two circles where they live and where they work, and that's where the majority of their purchases are made. And unless it's a big installation like a car or a house or something, then they would go outside that circle. So you need to really focus on those people that are within that trading area.
All right, amigo, we're going to go to CBS News, and then we'll bring you back for the Ed Ackerley leadership segment, and then Bill Beard after him on leadership. It's a leadership half hour to finish off Good Friday, Tucson. Wake up, Tucson. That's me actually screaming right there. This song is Joe Elliott wrote this for Def Leppard when they just last week watching people run to the toilet paper at the end of Walmart. It's called Run Riot.
There you go. Jeez.
We got Dr. Ed Ackerley on the phone, if he hasn't hung up by after that one. Ed, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
So when you sent me a list of some of the stuff you wanted to touch on today. And the last segment I want to do is what would Ed Ackerley local leadership look like during this pandemic? And I think a lot of people are interested in hearing that. So let's you got a few things here. So let's kind of rapid fire over the next several minutes. What's number one?
Well, let me just start by saying that I have sent a couple of notes to local city leadership, encouraging them and telling them that we're, trying to support them as best we can. I don't want to be the guy that's the sitting on the outside, slinging arrows and saying things that critical of people, because we're all in this together. So I need to make that clear. And secondly, me personally, I'm not running for mayor, and I've had to suspend my campaign, and I did not win, so I am not a mayoral candidate. But I have suspended my Facebook postings and my Instagram postings and so forth during this period because I just didn't feel it was appropriate for me to be, out there doing things when we're all being asked to be social distancing and to be respecting what leaders are asking us to do. So I've been kind of dark the last couple of weeks, not going anywhere or doing anything other than a couple of funerals that I've been to. And so I just wanted to start by saying that, well, what would I do if I had a magic wand and I was in charge? A couple of things that I wrote down here were I would be in lockstep with the White House and the governor and the CDC and be coordinating as closely as possible with them. Regardless of what our personal political politics are, I think it's important that we have a unified front on both the national, state, and local level. And the guidelines that we're getting from the White House, but also from the governor's office, I think are important that we and so I wouldn't be sending letters to the governor saying, how terrible the state is doing, or the same thing with the national presence. It's counterproductive and it's counterintuitive. That's where the funding is coming from to help us, our municipality, and to help our businesses. And so we need to be in lockstep with them and put aside our political differences at this point and unify and do the very best we can for Tucson. I'd also say that, when some of the announcements have been made, there's been, at one point, there was some business leaders standing behind, officials. And I'm looking and I'm saying, who picked that group? And how did they get to be the one standing behind it? It seems to be missing the major players in the community, which are, of course, part of them are government, Davis-Monthan, University of Arizona, et cetera. But there are some large companies in town here with a lot of resources, both statewide and nationally, that need to be included in these conversations about what Tucson is going to do to respond. And so if I was in charge, a steering committee of those types of people would be part of what I would be returning to on a regular basis.
Yeah, my broken record, Ed, is have kind of a few people who actually sign paychecks. as part of this process, because what happens is we have these quasi-chamber things that they think speak for these people, but they don't. And they can still be there, but I need people that actually sign a few paychecks as part of the, giving input to these governmentos.
Because their employees and, of course, their customers are directly affected by these decisions, and they need to be in on the conversation. I would say the same thing about anything that has to do with medical or CDC type of things. We need to be consulting with Banner and TMC and St. Joe's and Carondelet and our medical providers and the great research that's being done at the University of Arizona, and adhere to what they're telling us and not kind of make it up as we're going. And so, again, I would have that kind of input coming into me as well.
Now, I love your next one, because this one I feel like is severely missing right now.
Yeah, well, I think that communication is really the most important critical thing, and having, some people are critical of the president having daily 2-hour, sessions where they're trying to go through what the federal response is. I think the governor has done it pretty well, where he has come in about basically weekly and holding some town halls and trying to answer questions with his top brass in his regime. They're talking about things that are important to people. I think that what we need on the city level is a unified front, the mayor stepping forward and saying, this is what we're doing, here's what our focus is, here's how we're relating to the governor and what he's asked us to do and what the feds have asked us to do. I think what's really important here is to understand is, if you know anything about the charter and know anything about state law in regards to municipalities, so if there's a calamity, if we had a hurricane, which we're never going to have, or if we had something major in the city, whatever it would be, a mass shooting or something like that, by statute, the mayor of the city of Tucson becomes the focal point and the leader of that emergency response. And the system that's duplicated over across from Reed Park, which would become the command center, is basically the place. The 911 system would then coalesce, and the mayor becomes the spokesperson for not only Tucson, but for Pima County, for Vail, for Green Valley, for Sahuarita, for Oro Valley. Now, all those mayors and all those municipalities are feeding into the system, but the person that takes the lead on that is the mayor of the city of Tucson. That's by charter and that's by statute. And I think that's what needs to happen here is that the mayor needs to step forward and unify all of these municipalities. And even when we had the shutdown, the early shutdown, it was haphazard. Tucson would do something, and then Pima County would do something, and then Marana and Oro Valley would lag because they weren't as affected by it. And then what do you do about a Vail that's unincorporated? And there needs to be a unified front here on behalf of local officials, so that there's lack of confusion on behalf of citizens of what I'm able to do and able not to do. And so I believe that communication of daily or weekly updates to inform residents about here's what's happening, here's what we're doing, here's how we're doing it. So to me, that's a major missing piece here in what we're doing.
What's your next one, Ed? That's it.
Well, I just think that I'll just go to the last one, which is to assist businesses. And of course, Rio Nuevo took a step yesterday, and they encouraged the city to help with that. I just think that we need to really focus on business coming up in the next couple of weeks and I want to just shout out to Bill Beard. I thought his article about relaxing the advertising sign regulations was a really powerful editorial. I think things like that we can do, back off of fees, back off of regulation, back off of things that not in terms of public safety, but in terms of things that get in the way of getting a business to be ready to go when it's time to go. So I really think that's a focus that the Economic Initiatives Office should be working on, is how do we help these businesses through this process, not continually be a hindrance towards that. So communication, leadership, and focus on businesses to help us tide this terrible storm.
First thing I would have been doing is, if I'm the city, right, I would, relax the sign code, right, and provide here's a bunch of sign makers in town that make this. They'll make a A-frame for you that says still open, takeout, delivery, whatever we're doing, and get that out in front of your business as fast as possible. That would have been one of the best things we could have done. Right, and help people get that message out. And maybe, I know that the media has done a good job of
the TV stations, even the newspaper, and some others have developed lists of these are the businesses that are still open and so forth. But the city could have taken the lead on that. And the city could have been the one that disseminated that information and helped businesses and say, here's how we're going to help you. And because the city has the bully pulpit, and we should be the ones that are disseminating the information so that it's unified across all of the different media platforms.
Sad to say,
a haphazard approach.
Sad to say, our bully pulpit has degraded into a bomb shelter that the mayor sends videos out of. So that's the sad part.
Yeah. And I'm not going to.
No one's saying this is easy, but you do have to get out there and communicate on a regular basis.
Yeah, some of the governors are doing a really good job of that, and some of them aren't. And I think that we can take examples from the ones that are doing a good job of communicating. So,
Ed, thanks for your service today. As always, have a blessed Easter, and we'll talk to you soon. Okay, buddy?
Great. And if anybody needs some help, I'm willing to talk to them for free and just give them some advice if they need personal help with their business.
How do they get a hold of you?
Oh, they can just call me on my cell phone, 850-7058, and I'll be happy to talk to anybody. We're all in this together.
Awesome. All right, Ed. Have a great Easter, man.